Welcome to This Week in the PNFL. I'm your host, Mark Hill, and along for the ride is Mitch Grawl and Dean Chambers. How are you doing this week, gentlemen, or early Tuesday?
We're back into the regular season. We can't be doing any better.
Yeah,
Exactly.
well, you can't. Mark and I could be doing a little bit better, but I agree. Nothing like PNFL games on the field.
There you go. That's what I'm looking forward to. I'm excited about it, that we are finally ready to get the league kicked off. Did not work out as well as I planned, but it was a tall order. Again, I was just honored to be on the field against Chicago and trying to take so much information from them with that ass whipping that he gave me. Anyway,
Actually, Mark, I thought you delivered just exactly what you would deliver in that game, but we'll get to that.
And what happened to you?
Hey, Barney's a good guy.
No.
He's a 10-win team this year. I'm telling you.
Okay, if I'm looking
I
at
just gotta make sure he doesn't get two against me. That's all.
Wait a minute. I'm looking at the score. I lost 24-7. Kansas City lost. What is that? 34-7.
Doesn't matter. That's actually that is a good season opening game for me. I typically lose 49-0 in the game one season.
Okay, let's not get too far off on this. We'll have to send you both to the corner to wear a dunce cap.
Okay. All right. We'll play nice, Father. We will play nice.
My loss is better than your loss.
No. I lost to a better team.
Oh, so now you're insulting Barney.
I'm not insulting Barney.
Man, now you're bringing Barney into this.
Both teams are good, but wait a minute. Let me rewind that. You were supposed to put up a better showing. They didn't expect me to go to do anything.
Now you're insulting yourself. But anyway, let's move on.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and start going through these games real quick. Again, week one is in the books. I know that everybody was happy about it, that we got through everything so quickly during the off season. So we're just gonna jump right into the week one games, and then we will go into the middle segment like we always do, and then we'll bring it on home with the picks and predictions for the upcoming week. So starting this off, first game on the docket is the New York Jets taking on Las Vegas, and the Jets ended up taking that game 25-3. We are going to start with Mitch on this one.
All right. Well, glad to be back talking about some actual games on the field. And, I think everyone was wondering, what was Las Vegas going to do after the pretty wild off season for them? And you know what? The Jets kind of showed that, hey, you got a long way to go, new guy. Mac Jones, his tenure as the quarterback started off well, taking over for the retired Derek Carr. And, it wasn't a super highlight filled on the offensive side, but their defense, the Jets defense, that is, really, really shut down Vegas. Golly, I don't even know if, Vegas didn't even get 170 yards of offense. I mean, so good win for the Jets, and, kind of keeping it rolling.
All right, Dean.
Well, I think what Las Vegas tried to do here is run basically a ball control type offense. And that makes sense when you're playing the Jets. You think the way to beat them is keep their explosive offense sitting on the bench, so you play a ball control offense yourself. That was a good plan. That made sense. I've tried to do that against the Jets myself. But I think when you look at that 3.4 yards average gain per play overall for the Raiders offense, what they tried to do makes sense, and it was a good plan. They just didn't do it quite well enough, because when you average only 3.4 yards per play, you have to play that perfectly in order to gain first downs, and nothing is ever played perfectly in the PNFL. So I think that was really the shortcoming here, and there were many times where Las Vegas was punting 4th and 1, 4th and 3, 4th and 2, lost the 4th and short punts because the offense fell just short, and that made a big difference. Had they converted more of those first downs, they would have had more than 32 minutes time of possession. This game could have been entirely different.
Yep, agreed.
Yeah, too many third and longs. Yeah, too many third and longs.
And that's what got him. Got to have the short field. Next game we have Minnesota hosting Kansas City. And Minnesota taking this one 34-7. We're going to kick this with Dean. And then we're going to go to the coach. Dean.
Well, I'm going to make one comment here, which is there's an interesting backstory behind that first touchdown that, the only touchdown that the Raiders scored. Their offense obviously struggled.
Kansas City.
But, yeah, Kansas City, rather. I keep saying Raiders because that's Mitch's team last year. That play that was called on that touchdown completion, AT5Z PCRA, I'll just quickly tell the story behind that. I had submitted that play. It was an old deleted play from the Purge that I kind of revived, and I submitted that. And Charlie thought it was too similar to other plays, so he said it was too close to being a clone. He bounced it back to me, so I had to change it up a bit, and I quickly simmed 100 games with it, and it looked pretty good. And I thought, well, I could either not submit this or submit it. I might as well just submit it. So he accepted it, changed, and apparently this must have looked good in the sim data that Mitch was looking at, because he used this and it completed a 34-yard touchdown play. So it's interesting sometimes how play development like that leads to that kind of result when you didn't expect it. Because, that play was in my stuff the last few weeks of last season, and I never used it because it seemed like the numbers weren't quite what I was looking for. But it worked for Kansas City. I mean, other than that, Kansas City struggled on offense. Minnesota played very solid defense and played very good offense as well. Really solid win for Barney.
All right. Mitch.
Well, as Dean said, I had one good play. And so he went into detail on that pretty well. So I encourage others to look at using that play potentially in your game plans. But, as I think I said in the email or on the forum, chalk this one up as another week one stinker for my team. Barney had a fantastic game, and we'll play again in a few weeks. But no excuses, and good win for Barney and the Vikings starting off the season.
All right. Next game, we have New England hosting the newly formed in our league Pittsburgh Steelers, and New England taking that took that victory 35-22. Mitch.
Well, I think this is a sign. Two things here point to a sign that New England is going to go deep into the playoffs. One, they had a season, week one win at 35 points. So congratulations there. But their quarterback, Gerard Evans, one of my former quarterbacks that I drafted, and led me to a championship game. And then I promptly dumped him and drafted Baker Mayfield. So glad to see Gerard Evans still in the league, still making an impact. And it's probably one of the biggest regrets that I've had as far as dropping the quarterback. I probably could have done just as well with Gerard Evans as I've done with Baker Mayfield. But anyway, good way to go there, Mox and team.
All right. Dean.
I think the story here is the 179 yards rushing, and he had more rushing yards than passing yardage. I think that made a big difference. The passing was efficient, though. It's 70%. I believe that's 70% completion, 16 out of 23. So good, solid, balanced offense, and that scored the 35 points that won this game.
Okay. Quick, direct, and to the point. Next one, we have the New York Giants taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars, and New York taking this one 38-21. We're going to start with you, Dean.
Yeah, this game was my lead pipe lock of the week, and actually Jacksonville played the Giants pretty tough for the first maybe 2.5 quarters, the scoring back and forth, and I was afraid that possibly Jacksonville was going to upset the Giants, but then later in the second half, the Giants ran away with it and ended up winning by 17 points, and did it surprisingly with some pretty effective passing overall. I mean, just a total of 74. No, I'm looking at the wrong column. 210. So the rushing was very good too. The very good balance. 210 yards rushing, 271 yards passing. Good balanced offense. Much like you saw in the New England game, and in this case, it led to 38 points.
Yep. Good win there. Even though I did pick Jackson. Well, no, I didn't pick Jacksonville on that one. I thought they were going to do the upset, but yeah, I was wrong. All right, next game we have Washington hosting Detroit, and Detroit take. Oh, sorry, I skipped Mitch on that one.
I mean, it's all right, man. If you're just trying to save some time.
No. I was looking ahead.
I'll just say this: I was happy to see the big trade that the Giants did in the offseason paying off early. They went after Barkley. They got Barkley. He contributed 160 total yards, like obviously led the team in rushing, was second on the team in receiving yards. So congratulations to the Giants for a nice week 1 win.
Yeah, congrats.
Now you can move forward.
All right, well, thank you. Next game, let's try this again. Washington taking on Detroit, and Washington walking away with a victory on this one, 32-6. Mitch, we will kick this off with you.
Well, hey, Jerry, I get him this week, so I'm hoping that this 32-point barrage that Washington had in week 1, hopefully their guns are all out of bullets for the next few weeks. But nice balanced game on offensively and defensively. Murray had a nice 300-yard game, and oddly, the player of the game and player of the week, Larry Roundtree, gained a total of 26 rushing yards, but yet had 3 touchdowns, and somehow that earns you player of the week honors. But hey, I'm sure Jerry doesn't care. He just cares about that W. So nice job, Jerry.
Definitely. Dean.
Yeah, solid passing game by Washington. So much for even I put out the notion of their offense being conservative. 7.6 yards per carry. Surprisingly, only 3.3 yards per rush, though. Jerry's teams usually run the ball a bit better than that. And I'm not really sure what happened with Detroit. I was thinking there might be an upset here, but there was definitely no sign of an upset here. The Redskins were fully in control of this matchup.
Yes, indeed they were. Next game that we have on the list is Chicago going into Seattle, and it didn't turn out pretty for us. So Chicago taking this game 24-7. Dean.
Yeah, this was definitely a tough game for Seattle. 3 of 15 on third down efficiency is definitely not getting the job done. 1 of 3 on fourth downs. 66 plays total, but only 205 yards of offense. I know that Chicago's defense can be pretty tough, but they can be scored on, and sometimes they are. This is definitely a long day for the Seahawks, especially on offense. It's a tough break. It's tough game to start off with playing against Chicago.
Yes, it is. Mitch.
Well, I will. Let's start off with the glass half full approach here. And Seattle's defense played really well. I mean, it was kept Darnold, in check. Only gave up only 3.1 yards a rush. But the Seattle offense, it's tough to win a game when you're only averaging 3.5 yards a pass. If Seattle can get some juice in that offense, hey, I think week 1 will not have told the story for the Seahawks. So, we'll
All
see what
right.
happens.
Okay. Next game we have on the list is San Francisco. Low scoring game. San Francisco going against Anaheim, and San Francisco taking that game 10-7. Mitch.
Well, you know what? This is the third game in a row that these two teams have played, so there should not have been any surprises. And, when you look at the 10-7 score, probably weren't any surprises in that game. I will say the biggest surprise, if we even call it that, and Dean and I were talking about this prior to the show starting, thought that the Anaheim would have a little bit more juice in that offense to start week one, but apparently not. And so San Francisco gets a tight week one win, and I'm sure they're looking to build on that.
Okay, Dean.
Yeah, it was a defensive struggle, but when you look at the Anaheim offense, I think that's really the story here. 65 yards rushing, and Dobbs only has 178-yard passing. That's not going to get the job done against a team like San Francisco. So, Anaheim had its chances to score and win this game, and they came up with one touchdown. That just doesn't do it.
Yeah, you got to do much more than that. Something. Next game that we have on the list actually is the second to last game. We have Atlanta, the NFC champs from last season, taking on New Orleans and walking away with a 24-17 victory. We're going to start with you on this one, Mitch.
Well, I think everyone, when they saw this, they all were like, you know what, we were absolutely right that that trade, Trey Lance, for Justin Fields, absolutely brilliant. Trey Lance comes out week one, wins Player of the Week. Throws for 251 and a touchdown. So no one ever doubted Jadine on that one, right? Just kidding. I think we all did. But anyway, a good start to the year. 9.5 yards a pass. So it definitely wasn't the 5 yards and a cloud of dust that I used to joke with you about. But nice win, Dave. Nice win to get the season started.
Nice. Yeah, I think what I liked mostly in this game is the defense was pretty solid. I mean, the score was 21-10 at one point, so the defense had played most of the game fairly well. The offense had its moment, and it did turn opportunities into scores, which always makes a difference. But when you look at the stats, 14 first downs to the Saints having 23, 4 of 10 on third down efficiency. There's definitely some areas for improvement there. The 9.5 yards gain per pass is good, and that was because there were some big plays that were made. 92 yards rushing, I was looking for more than that. This profile was actually a fairly heavy rushing profile, so I expected a bit more of a running game than that. But, the defense played solid and really got the win, and the offense did enough to win.
All right. Last game that we have for week one, and this one I would say is probably a shocker. We have the defending Super Bowl champion Los Angeles taking on Indianapolis, and in a shocker that I don't think anyone saw, Indianapolis walked away with a 10-3 win. We're going to start with you, Dean.
Yeah, I think what I saw when I watched this game is the Colts were definitely tougher than I thought they would be. And I think like the first maybe 3 out of 4 Chargers possessions, the Indianapolis defense stopped them and prevented them from scoring. So, and that kept on through the whole game. The Indianapolis defense was very tough. Ends up holding the Super Bowl champions to just a field goal. I mean, there were times where it looks like the Chargers had a chance of scoring and they didn't get the job done. Offense on the other side, scored 10 points, probably could have been better, but when you're only giving up 3 points, you don't have to score many to win. This was a huge upset of the defending Super Bowl champions.
I agree. Mitch.
Hang on, I'm still writing that one down. If you only give up 3, the other team has a hard time winning. Oh, got it. All right, I'll remember that one since I gave up 34 this last week. I think you're right on the money. Just joking around, y'all. No, I'd say with Indianapolis, that running game was pretty balanced and pretty solid out there. I think they had 4 players over 30 yards, 30 yards a carry, over 30 yards on the ground, average 6 yards a carry as a team. I will say that without Kyle Allen, it looks like the deep ball has maybe left Indianapolis. Their longest pass completion was only 17 yards, but that might have been play design, trying to just kind of keep things under control. But yeah, I will say was not expecting the defending champs to only score 3 at home in week 1. But hey, that's happened. That's happened to all of us, right? Heck, it happened to me this week myself. So
Well,
we'll see. We'll see. I'm sure Los Angeles will come back and be just fine this season.
we have to remember that Kyle Allen is history, so we have to show some love for Jordan Love.
Yeah. Well, I have Kyle Allen is on my staff, and apparently his offensive coaching is not as good as he was on the field. So we'll see how this works.
It's only 1 week. It's only 1 week. So, as we wrap up the week 1 games, I think that pretty much, I think looking at it. Well, actually, you know what? I'll go into the next segment. Next segment is discussion of the week 1 games. How much impact does that have on your season, starting the season out? What I was going to say before I moved into this is that, yes, there were some teams that had some very tight games. There were some games that were pretty much, I don't want to say a blowout, but they were some lopsided games. But the question that I have is, how much weight should you put into that? Because again, you have new coaches coming in, you have guys that have been working on new plays during the off season, and you're trying to navigate those waters to figure out what's the best game plan putting forward. And I think it's kind of like a boxing match. You're trying to feel each other out. So what I'm going to have the guys do is kick this around a little bit and see what they think on it. And I'm going to start off with Dean on this one. What's your thoughts on the week 1 games and how much weight should you put on it?
I'm going to throw a little trash to start with, in that the NFC East total has 3 wins out of the 4 teams. In the AFC West, with 5 teams, has just a single win, Minnesota's win. But yeah, I think we can't speak too much of week 1. It's just 1 week. And, like you look at your team, Mark, you went 0-1, but you played one of the best teams in the conference. And, you could still very well win 10, 11, maybe 12 games starting 0-1. That's very possible. So, it's an indication. You have to look at who you played and how you played them. I was expecting Detroit to be a little stronger against Washington because they usually are, but that game was kind of one-sided. I did expect, and I made it my lead pipe lock, that the Giants would play a strong game against Jacksonville, and by the end of the game they had, even though it looked close for about 2.5 quarters. The 2 relatively new coaches in the AFC West, Pittsburgh and Las Vegas, they both gave up more points than they scored. So, tough start for them. But they're both active coaches who I think really, I saw some things in their games that show that they have some ideas of how they want to run their teams. And I think both of them will be successful going into the future, despite this 0-1 start. So, but I think it's good to be back in the regular games again. And I think there were a lot of good games and a lot of interesting games to watch. The upset was certainly exciting. We'll have as many upsets this season, I think, as we did last season. So, this 1 game is just a start. By 2 or 3 more weeks now, we'll start to get an indication of how teams are going to sort out and who's looking good and who's looking like they're not quite doing it this season.
All right, Mitch.
Yeah, I got a lot of thoughts on this one here. Obviously, everyone wants to start off fast, right? You don't want to start off into a hole but I can speak from experience that a week one loss, heck, even a week two loss, a week three loss, it is not a death sentence. And so I know for some of you all that have been around for a while, you all might know that. For the newer folks, don't discouraged. I mean, heck, you know, as I like to say, when I came back to the league back in year 2031, when I've made the playoffs 10 of 11 seasons, I think of those 11 seasons, I've probably started off 0-3 or 1-3 or heck 2-6. Um, Probably almost half those seasons, or maybe 40% of the time out there. I mean, heck, just a couple of seasons ago, I started off with a 41-0 loss in week one, and started off the season 1-3, and still was able to get into the playoffs. Almost won the division that year, so I went 10-6, and so keep grinding. The big thing is, learn from your mistakes. And I think that's what I'm able to leverage. A lot of times I'll realize, all right, you know what? Reason why I'm losing these games is because I've tried to get too cute with play selection, or I've tried something else to try to impact my game planning, or the case might be. And you just kind of strip it back down and get back to basics. I know that I guess it was my second season in, and after making the playoffs, start off 2-6, and I remember Rich emailing me at the time, because heck, it was only my, like I said, second season back in the league. He's probably thinking, oh, this dude's about to quit or something. And I remember him emailing me going, hey, second half of the season, a lot of teams mail it in, so don't give up. And I ended up, I kid Dean about this all the time. I was able to get back to where Dean and I actually played that final game of the season, the winner take all, go to the playoffs, and we tied, and we both missed the playoffs. But again, that was one where, it'd have been easy to throw in the towel. But, I tried to keep learning from my mistakes, and, made it a fun season regardless. So that'd be my advice is, if you're going to lose, make it a learning experience, and don't just mail it in, because there's a good chance that you keep plugging away and make improvements. Suddenly you're going to put a streak together, and you're going to be right back in it. So those are my thoughts on that topic, Mark.
And
Yeah, I have a couple comments to echo that. I remind everyone that last season, the two teams that played in the Super Bowl were 2-4 after 6 weeks of last season. We both started off 2-4, and there was one season not too long ago where Steve went 1-15, and there was another season, I think it was when I was either in Pittsburgh. I think it was in Pittsburgh. I went 3-13, so we both had losing seasons. And I remember one season I started off 0-10 and then finished 6-10 on the season. So, maybe that's a reflection of those teams late in the season mailing it in, as Rich was telling Mitch. But even an 0-10 season, you think, well, I'm on my way to going 0-16 while I finish the season 6-10. So, there's always chances to win, even when it looks like it's a really bad season.
And I'll say that again. He might not realize it, but I do listen and pick up on little nuggets from Rich there. And I remember in one of the forums or email or something back several seasons ago, I remember him mentioning something about how winning is a habit, and so work on your habit. And that's why I say, when I'm in a losing streak or start off in the crap or whatever, I really do try to do a self-analysis to think, okay, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing differently? What can I learn so that I can build the winning habit? Whether it's through like I said, through game planning, through the play selection, through how I analyze my opponent, to hey, do I have my depth chart right, or what is it that I can change so that I can get a winning habit going again, or get that winning habit going. And like you said, Dean, start off 0-10, right? But you know what? You kept grinding, you kept, figure things out, and you got to that winning habit and went on that 6 game streak on that piece. And, I don't know what you did the next season, but you probably carried some of that over into the next season. So I think that it just kind of, use the time where maybe things aren't going so well as the opportunity to build that winning habit. Because once you kind of get that together, suddenly it just seems a lot easier. So.
I think we went 4-12 this season after that. And yes, winning is a habit, but losing is a habit too. And I've done my share of that. And I think I'm still at the stage where I'm in fear of kind of backsliding into that losing habit, because I went 10-6 in 2039, and then 2040 returned to 5-11, and then 10-6 last season. So every week when I'm game planning, I'm mindful that I'm not going to turn in a game plan that that is going to lose a game. So I haven't gotten to the point where I've consistently won enough that I can think that I'm like above that, because that's not the case yet. But I'm working.
Always learning though. Always learning. You're always looking for ways to adjust and improve. Sometimes we try to improve ourselves so much that we end up screwing ourselves up. So you got to be careful of that too. But
well, that's when we overthink it, and I've done my share of that as well. So, when I did my game plan for this week 1 game, I put together the game plan and ran some practice games that looked pretty good. And I thought, I'm not going to overthink them. I'm not going to sit there and, try to, maybe there's one play that completes 46% of the time, medium pass play. I said, well, I need one that gets at least 50. Instead, substituting plays in and out and, run another 100 sims, substitute more plays, run another 100 sims. And sometimes you do that and the game plan isn't any better than what you initially made. So in this instance, the game plan was looking pretty good. I thought, I'm not going to overdo this, so I'm going to stick with this. I zipped it up, and it was ready to send to Rich Charlie.
No, yeah. Sometimes we can try to be too perfect, and we screw ourselves up. But ultimately, though, once you kind of get your habit down and get things going, that winning does. I don't know. I ain't gonna say easier, because obviously I just lost 31-7, so obviously I don't have it all figured out.
34,
34, whatever it is. Yeah, 33, 37. I lost by a lot this week, but anyways, obviously I don't have it figured all out yet. But luckily, I've been able to win more than I lose for a while, and a lot of that does go back to trying to have that process, that routine that, unless I screw up the routine, can put out some pretty consistent, high quality PPPs and, make things happen. And I learned that from losing, to be honest with you.
Glad that you can acknowledge that you lost. You're not on the show here this week saying, that game plan was just perfect and I should have won. That was rigged and stolen. My game plan was perfect. I really should have. You're not doing that, so I'm glad to see.
All right. So last thing,
I have too much respect for Barney and other coaches that beat me to say that. It's either usually I really screwed up or the other team really did well. It definitely isn't because it's rigged. No.
All right.
Yeah, years ago we had a coach who would say, I never lose games. I sometimes fall short in the scoreboard, and sometimes my team just doesn't make an adequate enough comeback, but I never lose. I mean, I think it was more an act than serious, and it was kind of funny.
What did they say? I don't lose games at this round of time. Well, I will tell you right now, if we'd have played 2 more quarters this past week, I still would not have won that game against Barney.
All right, so we're gonna put
that one up.
We're gonna put a pin in that. The last thing I'm gonna add to that, the commish did send out an email to you guys. I think it was either yesterday or today, to you guys might want to take a look at it, where he discusses doing analysis of your team. Read the logs, go through your logs to try to pick everything out to see what you have available, or what you did right and what you did wrong, and analyze your play. So that was something that Charlie threw out there for the guys as a whole, as for the league as a whole, to kind of get a better understanding of what you're doing. Also, there are some programs out there you guys can use. I guess the WS Log Stats out there. There's another program called Logger. You definitely have to pay for that one, but
It's only $5, I think.
Yep,
5, maybe 10. And it's definitely worth it.
And the program is still out there and it's available. So if you guys need to have, you want to look into it, just ask the coaches, and they can point you in the right direction. So we are getting a little bit close on time here. We are running a little bit long. So what we're going to do is go ahead and jump into the predictions for the week 2 games. Going over that, we did our initial predictions. Just for the regular predictions, all 3 of us ended up at 5-4. Lead pipe locks. Mitch and Dean ended up at 1-0. I ended up at 0-1. What we're going to add for this week's games coming up, we have a new person involved in our group, and that is Rich Sporting Books. Rich puts his bets out there for I think it's on Sunday or Monday, so we are deciding to add him onto our list as well. He will not have a lead pipe lock because he hasn't given us one. So what we're going to have him do is just put his predictions on there automatically, and then we're just going to fill the rest of the board in. So hopefully you guys liked that last week, and I think we're going to keep it going. So getting all that out of the way, that was a lot. First game on the list, we have the Chargers going into Jacksonville looking for some redemption. Rich has them, is picking the Chargers at 13.5. So what we're going to do is list that, and the first person up for his prediction is Mitch.
All right. Since we're just doing this on straight win-loss, we confirmed that in the pre-show. I am going with the Chargers. I just don't think the Chargers are going to start off 0-2. I think they come back focused and win this game.
All right, Dean?
Yeah, I agree with this. I think the Chargers are going to win and cover the spread, even though that is a good-sized spread. But I think they will just be too much for Jacksonville to compete. Definitely a Chargers win.
All right, I'll keep mine short and sweet. I am picking LA as well. So for a second week in a row, we're all in agreement. We're all picking LA. Next game, we have Las Vegas going up against Indy. And the Colts are projected by the sporting books to win by 4.5. We're going to start this one off with Dean.
Yeah, I think with this one, I think it's going to be very close. I wouldn't rule out a Raiders upset here. If Indianapolis wins, it's going to be very close, 1 or 2 points. Don't be surprised to see the Raiders pull off an upset. But for the purpose of picking, I'll say that Indianapolis barely wins, but I won't be surprised if it's a Raiders upset.
Okay. Mitch.
I'm going Colts. Raiders seem to be struggling on offense, not just from week 1, but they struggled last season as well. Probably need a little bit more time to get that all under control. So I'm going to go with Colts.
Okay, second week in a row, we're all in agreement. Second game, I'm going with the Colts as well. Third game, we have Minnesota going in to play Pittsburgh, and they have Minnesota at a 9.5 points. And we are going to start this one off with Mitch.
Minnesota better win by at least 28 points. Otherwise, I will be very embarrassed. Just kidding, just kidding. I think Minnesota wins this game. Pittsburgh showed some spunk in that week one, but as I said before, I think it's going to be a 10-win comeback season for Barney and the Vikings. So I'm going Minnesota.
Okay. Dean.
I think Pittsburgh will make a solid effort here and play pretty well, but they're outmatched. I think Minnesota will win this game by more than the spread.
Okay. I'm going with Minnesota as well. I think that the Steelers will put up put up a fight for it and make some adjustments, but I still think that Minnesota is going to take this one as well. Next game on the list, we have the Redskins taking on the Chiefs. We're going to start with Dean on this one, and then we're going to talk to the coach.
I think both teams are going to make a solid effort here and play well, but I think the edge goes to the Redskins. I think Washington will win by a field goal and just enough to cover the spread.
Okay, Coach.
Well, you can put it here first. Chiefs win this game. Chiefs win. That's all. Like Fetterman in the debate. Chiefs win, and that's all I got to say. Chiefs win.
Okay. This is a tough one. I do think the Chiefs are going to come back, and they're definitely going to put up a better showing. I'm picking KC on this one as well. So I'm picking KC on that one. Next one, we have Falcons going into New England to take on the Patriots. Mitch.
This is going to be entertaining, I think. Two playoff teams from last season, both starting off 1-0. Both trying to prove that they have sustaining power in the league. Who's the home team in this one again? Is it Atlanta?
New England.
New England. Okay, well, I'm going to go with the home team. I'm going to go with the home team. I'm going to go New England.
Okay. Now, don't forget, we still got our lead pipe lock sitting out there. So we're going to go with you next, Dean.
Yeah, I didn't think we'd be talking about John Fetterman on the show. And I think it's more appropriate to talk about Jerry Glanville instead. And, we're gonna uphold the honor of the great Atlanta Falcons coach, Jerry Glanville. We're going to take the show on the road and play well and get a win in New England. I'm confident.
Okay. I'm looking at I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be an entertaining game. I am going to use my little lead pipe, and I am picking Atlanta for this one. Yep, going with Atlanta for this one. It's going to be a good game, but I think Atlanta's going to take it maybe by a field goal. By a field goal. Next game that we have is the Giants going up against the Rams. Giants are 4.5, and we're going to start with you on this one, Dean.
Yeah, I think the Giants are going to continue what they're doing last week. Play good balanced offense, solid defense, and Joshua Dobbs will be looking to make a comeback, but he'll have to wait another week before he gets his team back in the winning column. This will be Giants by probably a touchdown or more, definitely covering the spread.
Okay. Mitch.
All right, here we go. Lead pipe lock. Everybody lean in to your phone or listening device. Go ahead, take out the second mortgage, maybe the third. Giants win, and they win big.
Okay, got the Giants on this one. And big. Okay, so Giants. Not even gonna mince around with it. Giants. Next game that we have, Cardinals against the Jets. Now, this one is going to be interesting because this is a pick'em game. Mitch, we're going to start with you.
Man, I tell you, these are usually tight, fun games to watch. Um, oh man, there's a reason why they're a pick'em game. I'm gonna go with the Cardinals. I think they've got a little bit more talent um, uh, this season, and it's going to be tight. But I'm going to go with the Cardinals tight.
Okay, Dean.
Okay, I'm going to disagree with that, and this is not at all disrespect for the Cardinals and for what Justin does. And this is my lead pipe lock of the week as well. I think the Cardinals often take some chances in the game plans, and the Jets over the last 5 seasons have been put together the most solid game plans and profiles of anyone in the league, and that usually makes more of a difference than any edge and roster talent. So this is a pick'em game. There's no spread, but the Jets are going to win. Lead pipe lock. Jets win.
Okay. For me, I know that the Jets have been one of the top standard bearers in the league. He had an off season. By his standards, I think there have been several teams that wish they would have had his record, but for the Jets, I think that was an off season for them. I think they're going to come back and make a statement. So I am going for the Jets on this one. Next one that we have, the Saints going into Detroit to take on the Lions. The Saints have an 8.5 point spread on it. And we're going to start with Dean on this one.
Yeah, the Saints are too good a team to open a season 0-2. So they will come back and cover the spread and beat Detroit this week. So, the Saints will come back and win.
Okay. Mitch.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a Saints victory. And that's all I got to say about that. Saints victory.
Okay, I think we're all in agreement on that one. I'm picking New Orleans as well. Final game. Oh, boy. Final game. We have the Seahawks going into San Francisco to take on the 49ers. There's a 10.5 point spread. I can personally tell you guys, don't believe that number.
So you're saying what? It's about 17.5?
Yeah, for Seattle over
okay.
or San Francisco. So yeah.
Okay.
All right. So we are going to start this last one with Mitch.
I tell you what, I'm feeling kind of hawkish this week, Mark. I think you're going to win this game. I do. No joking. I think you're going to win this game.
Can't let you down. Won't let you down.
No, I think you're going to win this game, and you're going to even that record. And I think this will be a springboard for you. So I'm going with the Hawks.
All right, Dean.
I look at that 10.5 spread, and the first thing I think is I'm definitely not buying that bill of goods. I rarely see the 49ers, even when they're playing well, beat someone by a large spread. And I think with this game, I think we're going to see an upset. It's not even – I'm not even going to say that 49ers will win and not cover the spread, and they often do that. 49ers are notorious for winning games and not covering the spread. But I see an outright win by the Seahawks here. This is an upset. This will be a Seahawks win. The Seahawks will not start 0-2 this season either.
No, that is not our intention. If we got to go out there and put something in the team's food to get the San Francisco team all sick, so be it. Yeah, we got to do what we got to do. So I am predicting the Hawks to take this game. And that's pretty much it. There's nothing else that needs to be said. So Hawks win. So
just visit the room and pass the bong around before the game.
Well, first off, I got to get the defense straight and I get some passing going. So I have some things in the works, but yeah, Hawks going to win this one. I got it. So, All right, guys, we definitely went long. I kind of let the guys loose for a little bit, so let them get their part out there. I know you guys had mentioned before, as long as the topic is good, the conversations are good, let the tape roll and let the boys go. So that's what we did. Let the boys go. So also, if you guys have for the upcoming games, and you see how the new format's coming out. Thinking probably we'll have to talk about it post show, maybe having a guest picker coming on or someone who can send their picks in for the next week game. So we're going to kick it around a little bit and then just check out for your news for that as well. Also, I do some other things on this channel, but if you guys go ahead and subscribe to it, then what we can do is when the new shows come out, you guys will know. Trying to get them out a little bit early, changing up my schedule a bit. So trying to get these shows out probably after the newspapers come out. So trying to bounce it off of him back to back. So with all that,
Mark, will you explain the different levels of subscription? What do folks get for $5.99, $6.99, $7.99? Is it different perks? I'm joking.
well, if you want to go with the higher tier, you can submit a PPP, and Kansas City will run that PPP for you.
That's right. That's right. I will practice against your PPP. And
No, you will use their PPP.
That's right. That's right.
In the game.
$7.99 a month.
In the game, right. Not in practice. In the game.
Is that what you did this past week?
Oh,
that's exactly what I did. Barney and I were testing out the new subscription levels, and so he got to send in a PPP for me to use against him. And see how it works. $7.99 a month.
There you go. All right, we took up too much of their time, so hopefully you guys had a great time watching or listening to this show. And if you guys have any suggestions out there, put it out in the email. And if it's something that's good that we can do, we'll definitely put it in there. So as we come to wrap this up, any final words over there, Dean?
Well, just keep making a strong effort. And I think we have 18 coaches running teams and doing their best, and that's all we can ask for.
All right. Mitch, any final words before you take us home?
Yeah, let's have some fun. Week 1 is done, and I'm sure week 2 will be another fun week as well. So only thing left to do now is let's get it.